Ladies and gentlemen, today I want you to pause everything. Forget your age, your failures, your doubts, your background. None of that matters right now. What matters is where your mind can go. Because success doesn't start in your pocket. It starts in your perspective. Let me ask you a question. How big are you thinking? Because if your dreams don't scare you, they're not dreams. They're just plans. Every empire, every revolutionary idea, every billionaire mindset, it all started in someone's imagination. The richest people in the world, those who've created something from nothing, they had one thing in common. They thought bigger than their problems. While others were looking at the walls around them, they were looking at the sky. Today I want you to understand something that could change your entire life. Everything starts in the mind. Every success, every breakthrough, every transformation begins with a thought. A bold, impossible, limitless thought. The difference between the average and the extraordinary is not talent. It's not money. It's not connections. It's vision. And the sad truth is, most people have stopped dreaming because life taught them to settle. They shrink their dreams to match their reality instead of stretching their minds to match their potential. But if you truly want to succeed like the rich, you have to think big. You have to break the limits in your mind first, or life will keep you small. Let me tell you something. The richest people you admire today weren't born with all the answers. They didn't wait for permission. They didn't have everything figured out. But they had one thing. They believed in something bigger than their circumstances. They saw opportunity where others saw struggle. They didn't ask, what if I fail? They asked, what if I win? What if I change my life forever? That one shift in thinking is the beginning of greatness. Jack Ma, rejected from 30 jobs, even from KFC, didn't give up. Why? Because his mind was bigger than his rejection. Elon Musk, he imagined colonizing Mars when people were still struggling to build electric cars. These aren't just people with money. They are people with bold visions. The truth is most people are trapped. Not by society, not by failure, but by their thinking. They never think beyond what they see. They want to be rich, but they think poor. They want to be successful, but they prepare for failure. That contradiction is what keeps people stuck. You want to know the secret of the rich. They don't think like the rest of the world. Where others say, it's impossible, they say, let me figure it out. They don't focus on problems, they focus on solutions. They don't wait for the right time, they create the right time. And that begins with your thoughts. It begins with your mindset. But thinking big doesn't mean living in fantasy. It doesn't mean skipping steps or chasing luxury. It means having a vision so powerful that it pulls you through the struggle. Thinking big is not about ego. It's about purpose. It's about knowing that you were made for more and refusing to accept average. And I know sometimes your environment tells you to stop dreaming. Maybe you're surrounded by people who gave up. Maybe every time you tried, you failed. But I promise you this failure is not the end. It's the beginning of understanding. And if your mind stays big while your steps stay consistent, you will rise. Start where you are. That's the truth of success. Big dreams, small beginnings, rich mindset. This is the formula. The rich think long term. They think about growth. They don't need instant validation. They delay gratification and build in silence. That's the mindset you must adopt. Don't let your background limit your future. Don't let your job title define your worth. Don't let yesterday's pain become tomorrow's excuse. Think beyond limits. Think like someone who knows that the life they want is possible, even if no one else sees it yet. Because that's what thinking big is. It's holding onto a vision that hasn't shown up in reality yet, but living like it's already on the way. And once you start thinking like that, once your thoughts expand beyond fear, beyond doubt and comfort, everything begins to shift. You walk differently. You speak differently. You act differently. Because your mind is no longer playing small. Ladies and gentlemen, thinking big doesn't cost you anything, but not thinking big will cost you everything. You are not meant to survive. You are meant to build, to create, to lead, to grow. But none of that happens unless you first allow your mind to believe that more is possible. So today, stretch your vision. Forget what you've been told. Forget what you've seen. Create a new picture of your future and then commit to it. Let that vision fuel your habits, your focus, your discipline. Because once your mind breaks free, your life will follow. And that is how the rich think. That is how they begin. Not with money, not with status, but with a bold, relentless belief that they were meant for more. So stop waiting for the perfect time. Start where you are. Stay consistent. Act with purpose. And think bigger than you've ever thought before. Because your future depends on it. Now that your mind is beginning to expand, now that you've allowed yourself to dream big, comes the most critical step: starting small. This is where most people hesitate. They've got the vision, they've imagined the dream house, the financial freedom, the success, the impact. But then they look at their current situation and feel overwhelmed. They think, I don't have the resources, or I don't have the connections, and so they wait, they delay, they procrastinate. But the truth is, the people who win in life are not the ones who had everything. They're the ones who started with something and didn't stop. The rich don't wait for perfect timing. They understand that success is not an event. It's a process. You want to change your life. Start where, use what you have. Do what you can. You don't need $1 million to start thinking and working like someone who values their time, their focus, and their potential. You just need to act. That's the real difference. Think of all the people who built great businesses in garages, wrote books in small rooms, recorded music on broken mics, or filmed videos on old phones. What made them successful wasn't their resources. It was their resourcefulness. It was the mindset of, I'm going to move forward even if the step is small. Success is not about how fast you run. It's about whether or not you keep moving. One disciplined step today is better than 1,000 delayed dreams tomorrow. Most people get stuck here because they're looking too far ahead. They think, I want to be a millionaire, but I'm barely earning enough to survive. That mindset kills progress, the rich. They think, what can I learn today? What can I build today? How can I get just 1% better today? They take small actions with massive intention. That's how momentum builds. And when momentum builds, success becomes inevitable. You want to start a business? Start by learning the market. Want to build your health? Start with a 10-minute workout. Want to master a skill? Give 30 minutes daily. Every little action compounds. Don't underestimate the power of small beginnings. The biggest trees in the world grew from tiny seeds, but those seeds had to be planted and nurtured. You can't just think big and do nothing. You've got to match that big thinking with consistent, focused action, even if that action is small. The rich understand this deeply. They act with purpose. They value time. They're not running around trying to impress people. They're building brick by brick. One step at a time. They know that starting small doesn't mean staying small. It just means you're smart enough to begin. And when you begin, you learn. When you learn, you grow. And when you grow, everything changes. But let me be honest with you, small steps will feel boring sometimes. They will feel invisible. No applause, no overnight success, no one watching. But that's the secret. That's the season where you're developing strength, you're building character, you're learning discipline, you're sharpening your focus. It's in those quiet moments that real winners are made. So don't skip the beginning. Don't respect the process. Start where you are and move forward every single day. Build your mindset, sharpen your skills, develop good habits. Whether it's your finances, your business, your relationships, or your health, the formula is the same. Think big. Start small. Stay consistent. And remember, the small things you do daily are more powerful than the big things you do occasionally. The rich don't think in weeks or months. They think in years and decades. They know that if they keep showing up with purpose, the breakthrough will come. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to know it all, but you do have to begin. And if you can make that decision today, if you can start moving, even if the step is tiny, you're already winning. So dream with boldness, but begin with humility. The empire you want tomorrow begins with the single decision you make today. You've now begun to think big, and you've committed to starting small. But here's where many people go wrong. They work hard, they put in the effort, but they're acting with the wrong identity. They're trying to get rich while still thinking like struggling. And that's why the third secret is so powerful. You must act like the rich. But let me be clear, this is not about copying their lifestyle. It's not about wearing designer clothes or pretending to live a life you haven't built yet. It's about mirroring their mindset, their habits, and their discipline. You see, most people see success and they only notice the outcome, the cars, the houses, the vacations, but they don't see the inner world that created it. They don't see the long hours, the lonely mornings, the focus, the discipline, the risks taken behind closed doors. The rich don't just do different things. They think differently. They operate with intention. They understand time as their most valuable currency. They invest it, not waste it. Acting like the rich means managing your time like it matters. It means saying no to distractions. It means waking up with purpose and attacking your goals before the world wakes up. The rich don't start their day scrolling on their phones. They start at building their minds. They read. They reflect. They plan. They don't live by reaction. They live by design. And let me tell you something else. Rich people are learners. Constant learners. They're not afraid to admit they don't know everything. In fact, that hunger to grow, to study, to improve is what sets them apart. So if you want to act like the rich, don't like you know it all, be a student of life, learn every day, listen more, observe more. Stay humble but move boldly. The rich also take calculated risks. They don't play it safe. They understand that growth only happens outside of the comfort zone. If you want to win big, you can't stay small mentally. You must take actions that stretch you, that scare you, that demand more from you. That's what acting like the rich really means. Moving forward even when you're unsure, staying focused when no one's clapping, investing in yourself when no one else believes in you. You can't wait to be rich to think like the rich. It doesn't work that way. You must think, act, and move like success is already within you. Because guess what? It is. But if your habits are poor, if your discipline is weak, if your mind is filled with excuses, then no amount of talent will help you. The rich do what needs to be done, whether they feel like it or not. That's the separation. Acting like the rich also means knowing when to stay silent and when to move. You don't see successful people broadcasting every move, every goal, every win. They move in silence, they build in silence, and they let their success make the noise. That quiet confidence, that inner fire, it's powerful. Don't waste your energy trying to impress others. Use that energy to build yourself. Look at the most successful people. They don't blame others. They take full responsibility for their lives. They don't point fingers. They ask better questions. What can I do better? How can I grow from this? That's how the rich think. So if you want a life of abundance, don't just dream it. Become it in your habits, in your behavior, in your decisions. So ask yourself, are you acting like the rich, or are you just admiring them from a distance? Are your daily actions aligned with your goals? Are you building something real, or are you just talking about it? The answers to those questions determine everything, because the moment you start acting like the person you want to become, that's the moment your life starts to shift. So far, you've dared to think big. You've accepted the truth that starting small is not a weakness but a strategy. You've understood the power of acting like the rich, not by copying their luxury but by adopting their mindset and discipline. But now, we arrive at the most misunderstood part of the journey, failure. This is where dreams either rise stronger or collapse completely. Most people run from failure. The rich, they embrace it, they study it, they grow through it. Let me be very honest with you. You will fail not once, not twice, but many times. You will be laughed at, misunderstood, rejected, and criticized. Things won't always go as planned. You'll make the wrong decisions. You'll invest time and energy into things that might not give you results immediately. But none of that means you're not on the path to success. It just means you're doing what every successful person before you had to do. Face failure and keep going anyway. The rich don't see failure as a wall. They see it as a mirror. They use it to reflect on what needs to improve. They ask, what can I learn? Instead of saying, why me? That shift in thinking is everything. Because you don't grow when things go right. You grow when things fall apart and you choose to rebuild anyway. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's a part of it. Think about any major success story. Steve Jobs, Oprah Winfrey, Jack Ma, Thomas Edison. They all fail repeatedly. And yet they refuse to let those failures define them. Why? Because deep down they understood a simple truth: failure doesn't break you, quitting does. People who fear failure stay small. They avoid risk. They overthink, and in doing so, they miss opportunities. The rich think long term. They know one bad decision won't destroy their destiny. They understand that even the wrong road can lead to the right lesson. So they take risks. Smart ones. Bold ones. And they're not afraid to be wrong in the short term, to be right in the long term. You can't grow if you don't stretch. You can't stretch if you don't fall sometimes. Failure is simply feedback. It's life telling you what doesn't work so you can adjust and come back stronger. Every time you fail, you're gaining wisdom. You're becoming more resilient, and that resilience is the foundation of every rich mindset. But here's where most people make the mistake. They take failure personally. They attach it to their identity. I failed, so I'm a failure. That kind of thinking is poison. The rich separate their results from their self-worth. They know that failing at something doesn't mean they are failures. It means they are learning, growing, evolving. Let me give you a mindset shift that can change your life. Every time something doesn't go your way, don't ask, "Why did this happen to me?" Ask instead, "What is this trying to teach me?" That's how winners think. That's how the rich grow. They stay in the game longer than everyone else because they've trained their minds not to run when it gets hard, but to lean in, to adapt, to fight smarter. And yes, failure will hurt. It's painful, but it's also powerful. If you let it, failure will refine you. It will sharpen your vision. It will strip away your ego and force you to focus on what really matters. It will teach you how to start again with more wisdom, more humility, and more clarity. That's why the richest minds on this planet don't fear failure. They use it. They welcome it as part of the path. So if you're failing right now, good. That means you're trying. That means you're moving. That means you're in the game. Just don't stop. Don't retreat. Don't let failure scare you into playing small again. You've come too far. Let it build you. Let it teach you. Let it shape you into the version of yourself that's ready to succeed. Because the real victory isn't in never falling. The real victory is in rising every single time you do. Now that you've learned to face failure, to rise from it, and to grow stronger through it, there's another success secret the rich don't talk about enough, but they live by it every single day: discipline. Discipline is the invisible engine behind every wealthy life. It's not just about waking up early or working hard. It's about choosing your future over your feelings, your goals over your excuses, your vision over temporary pleasure. The truth is, talent might start the race, but only discipline finishes it. Most people are excited for a few days. They get motivated, they start something new, but they can't stay consistent. And that's the real difference between the average and the elite. The rich are not controlled by motivation. They're powered by routine, habit, and structure. They don't need to feel inspired every day. They just show up every day. Because they understand one key thing: consistency beats intensity. You don't need to do everything at once. You just need to do something every single day that moves you forward. Look around. You'll see people with potential wasting it daily. Why? Because they lack discipline. They know what they should do, but they choose what feels good instead of what builds greatness. They scroll when they should study. They relax when they should rise. But discipline is saying, no, I don't feel like it, but I'm doing it anyway. That mindset alone separates you from 90% of people. The rich don't wait for perfect conditions. They work when it's boring. They show up when it's hard. They don't talk about how tired they are. They master their energy. They build systems that support their focus. They protect their morning routine like gold. They schedule their time, they audit their habits, and they don't let distractions steal their destiny. Discipline is also about sacrifice. Yes, the rich party, but they earn the right to. In the early days, they skip what most people crave: comfort, pleasure, entertainment, because they're building something bigger than a weekend. They are thinking years ahead, and that forward focus is what keeps them moving when others quit. You can't build a rich life with a weak mindset. You can't build a future on the habits that broke your past. It's about discipline in every area. Your thoughts, your finances, your health, your relationships. The rich don't just control their schedules, they control their minds. They catch negative thoughts before they become limiting beliefs. They stop spending money to impress people. They stop eating what drains their energy. They train their emotions. That's real power. And all of it is rooted in discipline. Let me be real with you. Discipline is uncomfortable. It's not glamorous. No one claps for you when you wake up early. No one celebrates your late night grind. But success watches in silence. It shows up when you've earned it. And the only way to earn it is through self-control, through repetition, through doing the right thing, especially when no one's watching. You want to think like the rich. Start by mastering your time. You want to act like the rich. Start by controlling your habits. You want to succeed like the rich. Master discipline. Because the day you learn to do what you need to do, regardless of how you feel, that's the day your life begins to transform. Success is never about what you can do once, it's about what you can repeat daily. So build your discipline like your life depends on it. Because it does. After understanding discipline, the backbone of every successful life, comes the most silent yet powerful success secret environment. It's invisible to the eye but loud in its influence. And here's the truth, you become what you're surrounded by. The people you talk to daily, the conversations you entertain, the habits around you, the energy in your space, it's all shaping your future, whether you know it or not. The rich, they design their environment. The poor, they adapt to it. If you want to live a rich life, you must protect your surroundings like your dream depends on it. Because it does. You can have the right mindset, you can start small, embrace failure, even build discipline. But if you are surrounded by people who constantly complain, who make excuses, who mock your growth, your fire will slowly die. Not immediately, but over time, they will drain your ambition. Look around you. Do the people near you challenge or comfort your mediocrity? Do they feed your fears or fuel your goals? Rich minds build circles of inspiration, not distraction. They choose friends who talk ideas, not just gossip. They place themselves in environments that stretch them, not just accept them. Because growth doesn't happen in comfort. It happens in challenge. And the right environment will challenge you to become more. This doesn't mean cutting off everyone, but it does mean creating boundaries. You don't owe your time and energy to people who don't respect your vision. The rich understand energy is limited. They protect it. They manage who they allow close. They know that one negative voice can plant a seed of doubt that takes years to remove. So they stay intentional with their space, physically, mentally, emotionally. Think about your digital environment too. What you scroll, what you watch, what you consume daily, this becomes your mental diet. You can't expect to think like the rich while feeding your brain nonsense. Choose content that educates, inspires, and uplifts you. Curate your input so your output is powerful. The phone in your hand can be a tool for greatness or a weapon of distraction. Choose wisely. Also, your physical environment matters. Is your space clean, organized, focused, or chaotic and draining? Success doesn't grow in clutter. The rich create spaces where they can think clearly, work efficiently, and rest deeply. They understand that environment isn't just about where you are. It's about what that space does to your mind. Want to change your life, change your room. Change your phone screen. Change your playlist. Change your circle. Build an environment where your future self would thrive. You're not just working on your goals. You're building a lifestyle that supports those goals every single day. Because no matter how strong your mindset is, if you're always surrounded by negativity, distractions, and low standards, your progress will suffer. But if you surround yourself with vision, clarity, and high standards, your greatness becomes inevitable. Environment either fuels your fire or suffocates it. And the rich know exactly which one they're allowing. So be intentional. Protect your mind. Protect your space. Protect your energy. Because in the end, You don't just rise to the level of your dreams. You rise to the level of your environment. And once you take control of your surroundings, you'll realize success isn't just about what you do. It's also about what you allow. You now carry 6 powerful truths. You've learned to think big, because the size of your vision shapes the size of your life. You've learned to start small, because every mountain is climbed one step at a time. You've learned to act like the rich, not by copying their lifestyle, but by adopting their mindset, habits, and discipline. You've embraced failure as your teacher, not your enemy. You've committed to unshakable discipline as the foundation of all success. And most importantly, you now understand that your environment is either your prison or your fuel. But none of this will matter if you only hear it and don't live it. Success is not reserved for the chosen few. It's reserved for the few who choose it every single day. Not in public, but in the quiet. In the early mornings, in the long nights, in the moments no one sees. That's where wealth is built. That's where greatness is born. Don't just dream of a better life. Build it. Don't wait for the right time. Become the right person. And never forget, the greatest investment you'll ever make is the one you make in yourself. Start now. Start small. But never stop, because if you stay consistent, one day people will ask you the secret. And all you'll say is, I believed. I built, and I became. Thank you. And now, go live what you've heard.